Welcome everyone to today's webinar on how to create marketing content that delivers results for your business. So for those who don't know me, I'm Marcia De Silva and I'm the Business Development Manager here at BPro Outsourcing. So I'd like to also introduce the co-host today, Chris Melotti. So Chris is the founder and Chief Marketing Officer at Melotti Media. So welcome, Chris.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Marcia, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks.
That's
so,
good.
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to quickly run through this impressive bio that we have for you, Chris.
Oh, sure, go for it.
So, Chris is one of Australia's most successful and passionate copywriters and has won many prestigious awards for his work, including the Chief Marketing Officer of the Year. So, very cool. Through his company, which is Melotti Media, Chris loves to demonstrate the power of quality communication to engage interest and inspire positive change in his clients. Does this sound about right, Chris?
Yep, it's right on the money.
Okay, well, look, everyone, just a reminder that we're going to have a Q&A at the end, but please feel free, to shoot any questions that you might have throughout the webinar. So let's quickly run through the agenda, if that's okay. We'll start with content marketing for us non-marketers. Then we'll look at how it can benefit your business. Then we'll deep dive into some strategies that will help get you started and wrap up with a quick overview of how to measure the success. So Chris, shall we get started?
Sure. You ask questions, I will answer them.
No worries. All right. Well, to kick off, Chris, content marketing is a bit of a buzzword right now. Can you give us non-marketers a bit of a brief overview on, what it actually is?
Sure. Okay, in a nutshell, content marketing is the production of marketing pieces of collateral, and I'll give you examples in a second, that are designed to engage, inspire, motivate, and educate your audience. That's it in a very small nutshell, right? And so what I would define it is as it's a whole host of things. So it's like blogs that allow customers to read up about your business and your organization. It's video content that explains how your products work. It's interviews and testimonials. It's white papers and quizzes, and it's a whole host of different things. And the idea is, look, again, this is very, very broad, but it's basically like the content marketing is the opposing side of direct sales. So where direct sales is more about communicating directly to your audience, saying, you need to buy this. Content marketing is the other side of the spectrum, where it says, here's some more information about what we do, how our product helps people, and so forth. And so what it does is it helps nurture people into making the decision rather than directly selling to them. And so it's, again, this is very, very broad because you go into so much detail, but from that kind of first step perspective, that's what it involves.
Okay, great. So can you tell us how producing original content can benefit the brand, and perhaps, go into a real life example of clients that you've, which you can share with us, I guess, live?
Sure. So I see content marketing as one tool in your marketing belt. So you've got all types of marketing, like you've got research, direct sales, you've got like social media marketing, all these different versions. And content marketing is just another piece in the puzzle. And so when you create original content for your customers, what happens is you put it out there to raise brand awareness and engage them in a more sort of two-way fashion. And what I mean by that is, for instance, at Melotti Media, we write blogs around how content production, because that's what we do, around how content production helps brands be better at marketing. So for instance, we've done a blog recently that had the 5 tips on how to improve your website, with the instruction of not selling us, but selling the need for us. Okay, so as another example that doesn't involve content directly to avoid confusion is we've done a lot of content marketing for IT companies, okay, and cybersecurity companies. And so the direct sales approach would be you could get hacked, you need our services. Whereas the content marketing approach, what we do is we produce blogs, for instance, and video scripts and podcasts that say, here's what the government suggests your brand should be doing around protecting your business. Here's the 6 ways to help educate your team on how to be cybersecurity aware. Do you see how what happens is with content marketing, you're providing resources for business decision makers and B2C clients and B2B clients to identify their need and nurture their interest. And so that's how content marketing works. And it's more of a, like where direct sales is more of a quick burn, content marketing tends to be a slower burn where it works over time. So people don't read one blog and just go, I need this. I mean, we hope we do. They hope we do. And that's the goal. But what often happens is people will read a couple of blogs and they'll go, oh, this, Milotti Media sounds like they know what they're doing. And then they start to learn and they go, oh, that sounds like something I should invest in. And that's how it creates that brand awareness. And it's about like nurturing their interest and taking them through the customer journey from stranger to customer, like paying customer, to loyal advocate. That's how it works. And that's why producing original content that's fresh and innovative and unique helps engage and inspire audiences.
Okay, great. That was a really good explanation. Thanks, Chris. So let's get into some strategies for our audience that they can use to get started. So let's talk about your 3 steps, Chris.
Yeah. So when it depends on how long your business has been doing content marketing to what types of content you should be creating for your brand. So when you are starting off, then it really comes down to trying to start with one piece at a time. Okay, because it can be very overwhelming. I understand, because a lot of people that they start the content marketing journey, and you naturally compare yourself to brands that are doing it. They've been doing it for like 10 years, and like for example, Milotti Media has been doing content marketing for 12 years or something like that. So we have podcasts, videos, blogs, quizzes, white papers, and all these things. And so a lot of people that take my classes or that speak to us about content marketing go, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. But when you're at the earlier stages, the best thing to do is start very simple. Like it could be a blog a month, or an article, or maybe a blog and a video, and just gentle and slowly as she goes. Because what happens is you can start to focus on doing quality, not quantity. When you're further along the journey, when you've got a real sort of like group of pieces of content and you've got a good strategy together, that's when you can start producing like a whole network of different pieces of content. And you can really look through the menu of things and do it. My suggestions would be blogs and videos are the best place to start. And the reason why is because 1, they're the most popular, and 2, they're fairly easy to do. And when I say video, I don't mean a full like production film. I mean like something as simple as like on LinkedIn. I get a lot of traction when I share mini snippets of insights for like a minute. And so what I do is I literally just get my phone, position it on my desk, and I get my Beepo team to find some relevant content that's trending and that's relevant to my business, of course. And then I talk about it. So what did we talk about this week? We talked about how to have the latest trends in copywriting. And so I did a bit of research and then talked about them on a quick video, and that's a piece of content. And then my team, what they do is they go out and they make it into, like we make it into a blog. We put it on YouTube. We turn it into a podcast. We put it out on social media. So to answer that question is the best thing to do is start with, if you're starting off your content marketing journey, is to just start with a blog and videos and start small. But in saying that, what I would do, and I know you asked me this in letter C, but is start with a plan. And we'll come back to this, but don't just go, oh, I just need to spam stuff out. Is start with a plan. So that would be the type of content I would start with.
Yeah, okay. And so how like as a business owner, how do you work out how you actually speak to your customers and your readers? Like, how do you come up with
Yeah.
that?
Good question. So this is the biggest factor that you need to consider when you're doing content marketing is know your audience, know your brand, and know your messaging. And so what I mean by that is your content will not work if you don't know your audience and you don't know your brand and you don't know your message. And what I mean by that is I think of it as a Venn diagram. So you've got your audience here and you've got your product or service here and you've got your messages in the middle. And what it means is that you're still talking about your product or service, but you're talking to it in the context of your customer. So it's really important to understand who they are, what motivates them, and what it is about your brand that they're interested in. Because if you talk too much about your brand, what ends up happening is you lose their interest because you're spamming them with information that they don't want to know. If you talk too much too generically, like if you just say, hey, like here's something very generic, people lose interest because they've heard this thing or they've seen this thing hundreds of times before. So what I suggest is the first step is identify who your audience is and what are their relevant pain points to you. Okay, so for instance, for my business, my major customer is a B2B organization, and their biggest pain points are that their lack of time, they hate writing, or they don't know what to write about. Okay, and so when it comes to that, that's what I target, is those pain points, and I explain like the advantages of copywriting, how multimedia can help you avoid wasting time and things like that. So when you drill into their pain points, that's when you can create content around those needs. That's how I do it.
Yeah, great tips. So I guess, how do you plan for this sort of thing?
How do I plan? Yeah. So now that I've got a team, I get a lot of help, and that's the amazing part of Bepo.
Maybe for those people that don't have that team and they're just starting out.
Yeah. So what I would suggest for everybody is start with don't have to get too complicated. I recently helped a marketing agency who never really attacked content marketing before. They asked for my help, and this is how we did it: is we simply just first of all started with customer. Okay, so we said who are we targeting? It's not just everybody. Like if you say, oh, it's everyone, then you're falling into a trap there. The idea is, think about who is your ideal customer, the one that you really truly want. Okay, and do a quick list. Like, who are they? What do they want? What do they care about, etc. Right? Then what I suggest is say, okay, what kind of content do we want to create? It might be, let's do a blog, some social media posts, and a few videos. Okay, so you map those out, and then what we did is went onto Excel and we just put some dates in, and we said what type of content, what we wanted to do, and how we wanted to do it, and then we built it from there. And so what that did was nice and simple. It took the pressure off and it allowed us to plan ahead. So the biggest danger for content marketing is because it's so exciting and because there's so many options, people get a bit carried away. And what ends up happening is it fails for them because they end up creating spam. Right? So they just pump out all this stuff. Their customers get overwhelmed and they unsubscribe or they stop listening. Whereas if you sit there and go, okay, in 2 weeks' time, it's Father's Day, so we're going to do a post about Father's Day. In 3 weeks' time, we're releasing a product, so we're going to do a whole bunch of content around the need for that product. Then a few weeks later, you might say, we want to do a testimonial from a client who really liked what we did, and we're going to share that out, and so forth. And so what happens is, when you plan ahead, you avoid that whole, oh my gosh, it's Monday and I need to release a blog. Someone write something really quickly and just pump it out. And that's never going to help. So you don't have to get too complicated. When it comes to a plan, just plan out days, types of content, your target audience, your messaging, and then you can build there. And as you start to go on, you get better at it, right? And you'll start to go, okay, we've never done a quiz before. Let's try a quiz. We've never done a poll. We've never done a white paper before. And so that will help you when you start with the baby steps and you start growing from there. That will help you develop into a proper content marketing plan and so forth.
Okay, very cool. So I guess the next question is around how to measure the success of your content marketing. So
Yes.
do you have some key metrics that we can talk about?
Yeah. So you've got the initial metrics. I like to look at all different types. And the beauty of a lot of the digital content marketing that we do today is that a lot of it is tracked. Like, for example, on Facebook, even though Facebook is social media, when you amplify your content, which means that, for example, if you write a blog and you go to your business's blog, a Facebook page, and you push it out there. So you say, hey, our latest blog's out, have a read. That's called amplification, and that extends your reach. Those kind of platforms allow you access to a lot of data. So like if you have a business page on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, TikTok, all of those kind of things, they allow you to look at metrics. So you can actually see who's been clicking on it, who's had a read, and so forth. So there's those kind of metrics that like the amplification social media channels offer. One of the biggest one, of course, it's an oldie but a goodie, is your website and having Google Analytics there. The reason why is because the best content marketing is hosted from your website because it's your home base. So for instance, we have all our blogs on our website. And when we have Google Analytics on it, we can see who's looked at it for how long, what kind of things have they looked at, where have they clicked, and those kind of things helps you judge your metrics and see what's working and what's not. And then there's all these other applications, like Hotjar is an application where it like heat maps your website, so you can see where people are hovering over, what people are looking at. There's those kind of metrics. And what else? We do a newsletter, a free newsletter from Multimedia. So what we do is we use things like MailChimp. MailChimp allows you to look at stats on who's subscribing and unsubscribing, how many open rates and things like that. And so the point of these metrics, most importantly, is not just metrics for metrics' sake. It's about metrics for improvement. So when you're doing content marketing, don't just look at numbers and go, they look pretty good. Okay. What you want to do is look at them over time and see how they're improving, see what's working and what's not, because the best content is the one that you learn from. So for instance, if you do a particular blog or article and it does really poorly and you see that the stats have dropped right off, you can brainstorm with your team and say, what happened? What didn't they like? Why do you think that didn't do as well? Then what you do is you look at all your content pieces and you can see what's working well and what's not. And you can start to understand why and what you should do to improve. And so blogs and content and videos that don't get watched, look at that and say, okay, what did we do wrong and what can we do better? And the ones that are doing well, look at the metrics and say, okay, this did really well. Why was it that what helped? Like, for instance, I was helping a mortgage broker, and the mortgage broker once wanted to do a couple of videos on what he did and how he helped. Okay, this is all part of content marketing. And so what we did was we looked at his current videos, and when we looked at the back end of YouTube, we found that people were bailing out at around 40 seconds. Like he was doing videos that were like 5 minutes long, which I know, right? Like for finance, like over 5 minutes is very daunting, right? So when we looked at the 40 seconds mark, we saw that consistently all of his content, people were jumping off at around 40 seconds on average. So what we did was we wrote a whole bunch of scripts that gave people 40-second snippets of information, and that like quadrupled his results immediately, because people started, and we actually called it 40-second tips, right? And that made it really alluring for people. And so they were getting snippets of information really fast. And then what was happening was they were jumping to the other 40-second tips. And so do you see how looking at metrics like that really helps you understand what people are resonating with and your audience? Because you should never just put out content marketing and just go, oh, whatever, I don't really care what happens. Because because it's a waste, and it really can, like, content marketing is not easy, right? It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it is very worth it, but you don't want to be doing wasteful practices like not looking at your metrics.
Yeah.
Does that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, that was really good. Thanks, Chris. Okay, well, it might be time to throw to the audience.
Oh, did I answer all steps? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
we sort of danced around. Sorry, I got carried away. I'm very passionate.
No, that's okay. we might just do some questions.
Sure.
So if anyone has a question, please chat it through. So we'll just give a moment.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like, so what kind of content have I done recently? Just to give you examples. Okay, so as of recently, let me have a look at the recent work that I've been doing, just to give you an example. Okay, so for one IT company, we were doing case studies. Case studies are a fantastic example of content marketing. And the reason why is because it's social proof. So if you are wondering what kind of content you should be creating, case studies are a really great example. And what the best way to do it is by speaking to your customer and saying, hi, like we'd like to interview you about what it was like working with us and how we helped you succeed. And then what you do is you turn that into a written piece. So for example, you do situation, challenge, then you do solution and result. Okay, and then if you do it that way, and then you provide it as a downloadable asset or a type of article, what you do is instead of selling yourself directly, you're selling someone else's experience of working with you. And as we all know, social proof and word of mouth works really, really well. So when you are providing content that shows how you helped another client, that attracts people to learn more about you. And they go, hey, this business knows what they're doing. I want to use them too. Okay, so that's one example of content. I'm just trying to give you examples of what we've done recently. I've done recently, we did bits and pieces around like a series of emails, like a newsletter. And I do this for a finance company. And what is great about newsletters is they are free, they attract a lot of audiences, but you do risk getting unsubscribes. So how do you avoid that? The best way to do it is keep things really short, really sharp, and just one message per email. Okay, so one thing to gain from, and always think about your customer. What do they want to know today? So for the finance company, what we would do is look up the latest trends in investing and just give them a snippet. And what you're doing with the content marketing opinion and piece is you're providing evidence that you know what you're talking about. So for example, for this financial investing company is we provide general financial advice and tips and tricks, nothing too serious, but what it does is it's like, for example, we're coming to the end of financial year in Australia. So what we did recently were 3 top tips to help you prepare for the end of financial year. And you see how it's not directly selling their services, but it's showing their customers that they produce really great stuff. It's keeping their interest and showing them that they can help. And so things like this, just to give people an example of what kind of content you can work for you and your brand. We've done website pages recently. We've done video scripts. Video scripts are very powerful. Sorry, I'll get to questions, but I'm just trying to give people examples of the types of content that's out there. Video scripts are really great, and it doesn't have to be too complicated, but like if you go to my website, there's a couple of videos on there, and they're just a minute long, 60 seconds, and they just talk about how we help and things that we do. And what that does, it allows customers to engage with you at an arm's length before they contact you. So what it does is think of content marketing as a way to warm people to you. You know what I think about it, you know what I give an example of in some of my content marketing classes is, do you know if anyone's ever been to an event, you know, where you go to an event and there's like stands along the side, you know, like they've got like those booths, right?
Yes.
Now, I don't know if anyone's the same as me, but you don't want to get too close because the minute you get engaged, you're stuck, right?
They'll catch you.
They'll catch you, right? So what I try and do is what I think of it as content marketing are the pamphlets or the things on your stand that people can look at a distance and they can go, this seems like it's something I want to know or talk to them about. And the content marketing gets them in. And that's how you can think about it is people often today, people are flaky and they don't want to commit too much. So what they do is they look at your content and they see if you're what they need. And they use the content as evidence and social proof to see if your business is what they want. Then that's when they contact you. And if you look at recent research, people look at around 11 pieces of content before they make a decision. And so, and that can be like think about when you buy a car. When you buy a car, you look up testimonials, reviews, videos, you look up your like the website, you look up the competitor's website. All these pieces help you form an opinion before you even contact the salesperson. So that's content's role, is to warm people up along the journey so that when they approach you, they've already got plenty of evidence on why they should choose you. And that's why producing content helps you lead that conversation. Sorry, I'm rambling. Sorry. I'm trying to give people examples of the importance of content marketing. And the more quality you put out there, the better you will do.
Yeah, no, it's been really valuable, and it's given an opportunity for a couple of questions to come through anyway. So the first one is, I'd love to create some more video content for my business, but I don't know where to start. So can you give some examples of the video types I could start with?
Sure. So okay, so there's a whole group of videos that you can do to start with. And you know what? It really comes down to your imagination is the limit. I find that an equal number of different types of general videos is the best place to start with. For example, FAQs. That's a really good one to start with. So if you are getting asked 5 or 6 questions constantly by your customers, then answer them in a video. So, and what you do is put your phone up and just go, like this is how I do it. I go, hi everyone, this is Chris from Melotti Media here. And one of the most frequently asked questions I get is XYZ. And then I'll say, so this is my answer, blah, 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 blah. And then I will say, for more information, contact us at melottimedia.com.au. And then I basically end the video. And then what I do is I publish it on YouTube. I put it on Instagram and LinkedIn and so forth, so that it gets the most spread. And that really attracts people because you're answering their questions. So that's a good one. The other one is testimonial videos. So what I did was when I've got a client that really has loved my work, I get them to record a video. And they'll say, hi, this is this person from this company, and we worked with Melotti Media, and they were fantastic in doing XYZ for me, and I'd highly recommend them. Those are great videos if you can get a client to agree. Another one is a product explainer, okay, or service explainer. The reason why these work so well is because people want information really, really fast. And if you have a video that can just communicate instantly what you do, a lot of the times that's a great video. So for instance, it can be something simple as, this one, it works really well for, say, software and applications. It might be, welcome to, XYZ software. Sorry, I'm just using that as a filler. Have you found yourself stuck with too many tabs on your computer? Do you find that you're lost trying to organize your day? Well, XYZ software does this, that, and the other, and it shows the software working. Those kind of explainer videos work well as well. The last type of content, the fourth video I would recommend, is something from you. And what I mean is not like the frequently asked questions, more like think of it as a welcome video where you help people connect with you. So for instance, on my homepage, I have a, welcome to Melotti Media. This is what we do. The reason why that video works so well is because it gets people to understand you before even talking to you. So when they call you, it's like they already know you. And so it breaks that ice, it breaks down that barrier to communication. And so they're the 4 videos I recommend. Did that answer your question?
That was from one of the attendees, but I'm sure that was a really helpful answer.
Yeah, videos are really powerful. So definitely recommend it. And don't get intimidated. Like, don't think too much about it. Just set up, when you get bigger, you can do professional videos with auto cues and special effects, but start simply like this. Like, I just have a banner behind me. I just get my phone out. I've got a professional light that I bought from eBay, and I just record different pieces of content.
Great, thanks, Chris. We've got another question. So it's about how to create content continuously with limited resources. So
great
any tips on that?
Yeah. Hire Beepo people. No. So I'm lucky now because I have a team of 7, and they help me. But not everyone has that, especially at different stages of their business. So what I would suggest is when you're starting out, like I said before, with the Excel sheet, something simple, don't overcomplicate it, because when you overcomplicate it, it becomes too intimidating to try. I start simple, something as have an objective. So for instance, say in July, this coming month, I'm going to do two blogs. I'm going to release one on the 10th and one on the 25th. And those blogs are going to be targeted at this customer because of this pain point, and this is what I'm going to communicate, right? Then what you do is start slow and write it up, okay? Write it up, get comfortable, and publish it, okay? And then what you do is publish it on your website, and then attempt the second blog and start slow. The next month, you might say, that was really great. That wasn't as scary. So I'm going to do one blog, and in the middle of it, I'm going to record a video based on that blog. Do you see what I mean? So it's not, you don't have to keep rebuilding or reinventing the wheel. There's a marketing rule called the marketing rule of 3. Every piece of content you use 3 times. Now, you don't have to start this way, but I practice this where when I write a blog, I then record it as a podcast and record it as a video, and I publish all 3. And so what I'm saying is when you start small is write your blog and then you might record it, okay? And then you publish both. And then you do your second blog and do a recording. And do that for a couple of months and get comfortable with it. And then what you might start doing is go, okay, now I'm going to start producing a couple of social media posts, and then the blog, and then a video. And you start slow, but never get to the point where you're overwhelmed. Like if there's just one of you or 2 of you doing it and you guys are really struggling to keep up and therefore your quality is waning, then stop, like slow down and get it to a sweet spot where it's quality over quantity and that you are comfortable in creating it. Because if it's just content for content's sake, it's never going to work, and then you'll get frustrated with it. So to answer that question is start slow, have a plan, and trial what works best for you, and reuse where possible.
Yeah, great tips. Chris, is there anything else? We don't have any other questions. So is there anything else you'd like to cover in today's session before we start to wrap up?
Yeah. So I would say for everyone who's wanted to do content marketing, don't wait. Okay, because the longer you wait, the more intimidating it becomes. And then you find that you think, oh gosh, still sounds like a bit of a dream. What I would suggest is content marketing really works when you do it well. And it doesn't take a lot to do it well, so long as you do the steps that I've explained. So if you're like today, let's say that after watching this webinar or listening to it as a podcast, whatever you've done to listen to this today, perhaps go, all right, I'm inspired. Marcia and Chris have inspired me. I'm going to open a Word document on a blank page and say content marketing plan, and then say, who is my audience and what do they care about? Okay, start there. Then say, what kinds of content do I want to create? And you'll say, I'm just going to start, like Chris said, with a blog and a video. And then you go, all right, how often are we going to do this? And then what I would do is just start, because you might think, oh gosh, that was embarrassing. But as you start to do more, you get better at it, and you get better and you get better and you get better. And then what happens is you start to get traction. And then suddenly your audience will say, hey, I found you, or I found this blog interesting. And then all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh, right? And then you go, this is working. And then you go, okay, what kind of other pieces of content can I do? And then that's how Melotti Media has done it. Is we didn't just go one day, let's do 19 different types of content, right? We started slow. And then as the years progressed, what we did is we set up MailChimp. And we put a tile on our website that said, sign up for our Melotti Media content shots. And what we did is we built a list very fast. Like I was surprised at how fast it grew, is that people were subscribing. So what we did is we just said, you know what, we're going to start with 1 email a month. And we just did 1 email, and now it's increased to 2 emails. Okay. And then what you can do is slowly but surely build up that way, but don't get intimidated. The idea is slow burn and gradual growth. So I just saw another question come through. Is that from RT? Yep. Sorry, can you? Yep.
I'm just trying to bring it up again. So Yeah, so the question from RT is, ideally, how much content do we need to to successfully introduce a product?
Oh, okay. Okay. So there's no rule book, if I'm honest. There's no one has a this is what it is. My suggestion is when I'm launching a product or a service, or I want to launch a campaign or an initiative, the best thing to do is plan around, like, this is the ideal scenario, is plan 2 months ahead. Okay. And what I mean by that is look at it 2 months and go, okay, because you don't want to spam people. It's counterproductive if you spam people. So what I would do is say, right, we're launching in, let's say, October, right? So what I would say is go, right, for the next couple of weeks, we're going to do a couple of teaser social media posts, and we're going to start releasing some gradual information. So it might be like we'll do a blog every Monday that explains like a feature each blog, or something like a benefit each blog. And then we're going to do it, push it out on social media. Then we're going to do a video. And then what you do is you map that out across, say, 8 to 12 weeks. And what you do is you hit the milestones. And with the idea that it gets faster and faster and faster and more, I don't want to use the word aggressive, but I'm going to, for lack of better, is more aggressive in terms of start really general, like just here's some basic information, and then start to turn up the heat slower and slower and slower, and sorry, faster and faster and faster until you hit the launch date. And then you do a massive launch content campaign. So you've got the lead up and then the launch campaign. And then the launch campaign around content is like brochures and landing pages and all these bits and pieces that explain the product or service that you're launching. Do you see how? Then you've got the lead up that teases and educates. Then you've got the launch that sells. And then afterwards, you've got the support and the nurture. So it's for all the people that have bought it and want more information, or the people that have not bought it yet, but are curious. And that's the best sort of way to do it, is up to the tail, launch, and then support after. Does that answer your question?
I'm sure that did for RT. Thank you, Chris. Look, have you got anything else that you would like to add? Otherwise, it's time for us to wrap up.
There would be one more thing. When you have produced content, don't think that it's this constant conveyor belt. One of the most underestimated practices in content marketing is to reuse and recycle your old content. For instance, Google loves it when you go back to old blogs, refresh them and repost them. And so what happens is Google loves it because you're showing that you're keeping your content up to date and relevant to customers. And so I do this for a lot of clients where they get me to look at their old blogs that were written, like, say, in 2016. And what we do is we update them, and we get rid of old content, update all the references and things like that. So what that does is, instead of having to create everything from scratch, you actually have a whole library of content that you can reuse. And don't think that you're spamming people with stuff, because a lot of the times people will only read your stuff occasionally. Okay, that's just how content marketing works. So because you live and breathe your business, you're thinking, oh, everyone's reading the same content over and over again, but they're not. So because they only see your brand every so often, and they only think about your brand every so often, whereas you're thinking about it every day. So reuse and recycle your old content. And like I said, the marketing rule of 3, all of those kind of things will help you increase the longevity of your content without having to constantly make new content as well. So it's like finding a blend of reusing old content and creating new content. And that will help you get the most sort of efficiency in the way that you're doing content marketing.
Yeah, and it'd be consistent, right?
Yeah, consistency. Yeah. And that leads to another. Sorry, it's another one is make sure that all of your content should be on brand, right? Because the damage, you can do damage to your brand if you are like. I always give this example in my class. If you're following a travel blog, right? So let's say you're following a travel blog and you check in every week because you're interested in what they're doing in Italy or whatever they're doing, right? And you're following them and you're engaged with them. Suddenly, they start posting about cupcakes. Okay. Suddenly you go, oh, that's different. It's not what I'm here for, but okay, I'll go with it. Then they do some more cupcake posts, right? What ends up happening is you lose your audience because they get confused and they get frustrated with, because that's not the reason why they're there, and they disengage. So always make sure that whatever you're doing, there's scope for innovation and there's scope for freshness, but always remember that when you're producing content, remember why you're doing it. And that's why a plan is so important, because a plan keeps you on track rather than we're out of ideas, let's just throw something up. Make sure that you're always keeping it on brand, on purpose, and on customer, because that's the best content marketing.
Awesome. Great work. Love it. So I think our audience will leave today with some great tips on how to kickstart their content marketing strategy from here. I know it's given me a few ideas as a non-marketer. Yeah, we'll be emailing out a copy of the demand version of this webinar to everyone. But I guess, Chris, how do people get more information from Milotti Media? How do they access your blog, etc.? Can you give them a bit of an understanding on that?
Yeah, so if you like, I produce lots and lots of content on content marketing. So you can literally go to milottimedia.com.au/blogs or /podcast. And there is tons and tons of resources there, all for free. There's no catch, and there's plenty of information there for you to find. So if you just go to my website and you just hunt for content, there's plenty of resources there you can read, get ideas from, find inspiration, and so forth, because that's what we love doing, and Milotti Media is producing content. So if you're stuck, have a look through our blogs, have a read, you'll find everything you need right there.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris, and thanks for joining us today. And
you're welcome.
Thank you, audience, for joining us as well. And I hope you're all inspired. So have a great day. And
thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.